Guys, should you or shouldn't you track your macros? So macros being your carbs, fat, protein, and or calories, in total. So this kind of depends really. Depends where you are on your fat loss journey. Personally, I track mine. Just because some days I'll have more carbs if I've got my football training, so I post training I'll eat more carbohydrates. Some days when I don't train, I'll eat a little bit less. So I do kind of a carb cycling. Um, but should you, the average Joe, should you be counting your calories? Well, it just depends. If you're sort of at the start of your journey, then making some basic changes, like for instance, eating more vegetables, drinking more water, having a small portion of carbohydrates every meal, making sure you get more protein in, making sure you do the basics right. For a sustained period of time should get you start to get to see your results. You should start seeing results from that. So when you start to get a little bit deeper down and you've lost, your majority weight, so you the start part, and you might lose 5 kgs really easy. You made a few changes, seems quite simple. Great, you do all right. Well, then things start getting a little bit harder. So then when things get a little bit harder, that's when you need to start looking at things a little bit more in detail. You might end up going needing to lose an extra 5 kgs, but you kind of it's going to be hard. So you might want to look at counting your macros, counting your calories, just to see then you've got a choice. Okay, you were eating this many calories for instance 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Not much change. Everything kind of stayed the same. Okay, so let's change something. You might change. Might lower your carbs down slightly. You might be playing a lot of sports, so you might increase your carbs slightly and lower your fat down a little bit, or you might just move one or the other. But if you don't know how much food you're taking in, then you don't really know what changes to make. Now I know it can be a bit of a pain. There is great tools out there like MyFitnessPal. There's like I think it's MyFitnessPlate. There's tons of different apps out there for Android, Apple. Which makes it a lot easier than writing it all down, then going onto the internet to find out, or looking in a book to find out how many calories is in everything that you've eaten, and then breaking it down that way. So there's lots of tools out there that can make it a lot easier. But again, like I said, it depends where you are on your journey. I like my clients to start to track the calories for the at least first week or two, and that's without really any restrictions. That's just so I can get a good gauge of whereabouts you are, how much you're eating. If you're eating 3,000 calories and you're maintaining your weight, then I don't want to drop you down to 2,000 because that's a massive jump. I'd rather drop you down to 2,700. And then we can slowly go from there. And I can say, okay, this is roughly what 2,700 calories looks like. You go away, you maybe do that for a week, and we'll see how we get on. Again, like I said, it's not for everyone, and does depend where you are in your journey. But I would definitely say to people, if you are wondering whether you should or shouldn't track your calories or your macros, I would definitely do it for a week. Then you can get a good gauge of how much food you're actually taking in. Weigh your food, measure it, get some scales. It does get a little bit tedious to start with, but once you get the hang of it, especially over the space of a week, you'll then start to learn what your portion sizes are. If you don't do that and you're kind of guessing and you're saying, oh, this was probably about, roughly what a portion size should be, you might be quite surprised, because when you actually look on the back of food, say buying hams and rice, and you look in your packet of rice and you've boiled it all, and it says, this, 50 grams of cooked rice. When you actually see what 50 grams of cooked rice is, it's actually not that much. So you might be a bit surprised of how much food you actually were taking in. So that's kind of my little breakdown on whether you should or shouldn't. Give it a try. Once you know roughly how much you're taking in, then you can kind of do days where you don't, days where you do. If you're losing weight during the week and then you get to the weekend and on the weekends you're gaining weight, or your weight's getting put back on, then just track your calories over the weekend. If you've got a lot of weight to lose and you don't want to track your calories, you know that, okay, this is how much I'm actually taking in. Well, I could probably just substitute some of this food for some more veggies, get some more water in, get some more protein in. Then that might be enough for you to start to see the weight drop down to start with. But if you do ever get stuck or hit a plateau, I feel like it does give you a bit more of a benefit, and it does mean that you can actually see where you're going wrong, and it gives you a bit more room to be able to go, okay, change this, change that, rather than just sort of guessing. Alright, I hope that all makes sense, and if you've got any questions, just drop a comment below, and I'll do another video soon.